מסכת חגיגה, פרק ראשון, משנה א'. פרסט פרק משנה א'. משנתנו דנה במצוות הראייה ברגל. Our Mishnah is going to come and discuss when you're going to come to Yerushalayim during the regel, you're supposed to be seen and be seen. What does it include? הכוללת ראיית פנים בהזרה. It means that you have to come and show your face in the הזרה. And then when you do that, הבאת עולת הראייה. Together with this, you need to bring a sacrifice called עולת הראייה. והיא באה לפרט את הפטורים ממצווה זה. It comes to tell you now, the first Mishnah, who doesn't need to do ראייה? Okay? הכל חייבים בראייה. Everybody is obligated in the ראייה, that's how we start. במצוות, there's the mitzvah. What's the mitzvah? יראה כל זכורך. It will have to show his every male את פני השם אלוקיך, the face of God your Lord. היינו, שצריכים להיראות בעזרה בשלושת הרגלים. You have to show yourself to duty 3 times a year. Yeah. In בית המקדש. Show to God, not show to ירושלים. Show to God. And when you do that, every time you come to see the king, להביא עולת ראייה, you're supposed to bring a sacrifice called the sacrifice of ראייה. כמו שביארנו בהקדמה למשנתנו. Just like we explained in the Mishnah, in the previous introduction. Except whom? Except, we're going to start with 3. Chutz, except, חירש, deaf.
So man, not חירש, אבל משונה.
Yeah, we'll see. חירש, a deaf person, שוטה, fool, an ignoramus. Not an ignoramus, sorry. No. Shote means somebody who is in English, it's an idiot. Idiot or crazy or yeah. Or someone who's not mentally there, let's call it that. Someone who's not mentally there. Vekatan. And katan means below the age of 13. בגמרא מבואר, the Gemara says, חירש, usually when in the time of the Bible, when it says חירש and שוטה were the same. Why do I mean? חירש and שוטה, because the חירש usually couldn't communicate. Somebody who was deaf, he couldn't communicate. Yeah, and he would be mute. He would also be mute. And also he didn't, you cannot communicate with him. So he never learned anything. It's very hard to communicate with somebody who's deaf mute. You know, if he is deaf, he's also mute. So it says over here we're talking about even a person who is not mute. In other words, he became deaf very, very old, like he was 50. Yeah? Then he became deaf. So it means he can talk normally. And he understands normally. So he's not a shoteh. So maybe he is obligated to go into the temple because he's not.
מצווה לראות, not to hear.
להיראות.
להיראות ולראות. both.
We'll see. בגמרא מבואר, so the Gemara says, שאפילו חירש המדבר, we're talking about even a חירש that can speak. הואיל ואינו שומע, the problem over here is that he doesn't hear. Yeah, he needs to hear that. הוא פטור מן הראייה. And he's not obligated from this commandment. Why? שלמדים זה מפרשת הקהל שכתוב בה. We learn it from the parasha of Hakel, the 7th year, when the king reads the Hakel. It says, over there it says, why do you gather the Jewish people 3 times a year to the base of Mikdash? למען ישמעו. So that they will be taught. I know, but that's what they learn it from. In other words, they learn that when you come to mitzvah riyah, is that you will learn how to appreciate God. How do you learn? Through hearing. למען ישמעו. פרט למדבר ואינו משומע. Over here it means that even if you're intelligent and you cannot hear teachings, it's already a problem. והוא הדין לאילם. And it's the same idea for a mute. השומע ואינו מדבר. who hears and doesn't speak. שנאמר ולמען ילמדו. Because it says, so that they will learn. וקוראים ילמדו, היינו שילמדו לאחרים. That they are able to not only learn, ילמדו. לא ילמדו, it depends how you make the sounds. Not they will learn, but they will teach. Same root in Hebrew. Okay, so חירש and שוטה are out of the picture. שוטה וקטן, now, שוטה וקטן, that's easy. שוטה וקטן is easy, why? לפי שאלה חייבים מצוות. They're not obligated in commandments. A person who's not mentally there is not commanded in commandments, and also a katan, a small, a minor, is not commanded in commandments. Vetumtum, what about a tumtum? And again, we learned about a tumtum. A tumtum is a person that we don't know if he's a male or a female. He is one of them. We just don't know which one he is. Yeah? שאין נבקרים בו לא סימני זכר ולא סימני נקבה. We cannot determine whether he's a male or a female. He doesn't have male parts, he doesn't have female parts. He doesn't have any parts. Not male, not female. ואנדריגונוס, and somebody who has both. He has male parts and female parts. שיש לו סימני זכר ונקבה כאחד, ונשים and women, שנאמר במצוות הראייה, and all these also not obligated. Why? Because it says, יראה כל זכורך. Who needs to be seen? Males. These one are not males. Maybe the androgynous, you can say he's a male also, but he's not only a male. You know, he's not only a male. It says a male. He's a male plus. Male plus doesn't come. Doesn't have the obligation. The obligation is all the males, only males. ואף הטומטום והאנדרוגינוס אינם בכלל זכוריך. So we find the one we don't know who is a male and a female, and the one that is both is not a male. ועבדים שאינם משוחררים. Same thing with slaves that are not freed. שכל מצווה שנשים חייבות בה, אין העבדים חייבים בה. We already have this rule that an Eved is subjugated just like a woman is. He's only obligated in mitzvahs that it doesn't have to do with time. So it's an Eved Knaani, but he was already mitgayer. It was already the only thing he needs, he already breathes, the only thing he needs is to be freed. Then he becomes a full Jew. Yeah? Okay, up to here. So this is they're not obligated, these guys. What about chiger? Somebody, that is your question, what about a chiger? Somebody who's a lame, cannot walk. Vehasome, somebody who's blind. Vehachole, somebody who's sick. Vehazaken, somebody who's old. Umi she'eno yacholot bereglav, or somebody that is not capable of making the aliyah with his feet. How much does he need to be able to make? Mi-Yerushalayim la-Azara. From Yerushalayim to the Azara. He needs to walk, let's say, from city limits of Yerushalayim to the Azara.
Oh, and he can't walk.
He cannot walk.
You're not talking about coming from Beersheba.
No. He's already in Yerushalayim. He just can't walk. He's sick. You know, whatever it is. Or he's blind. How is he going to walk? How is he going to get it? So you're going to say, what do you mean? Somebody can lead him. The question, does he have the obligation? If he's by himself, does he have the obligation? Okay, so we'll see soon. מירושלים לעזרה. And even an example, somebody כגון שהוא מעונג ביותר. Somebody likes to eat. He weighs 600 pounds. Or 400 pounds. He likes to eat. He sits, like Abu Ali. Yeah, he's like, I can't move, I'm too heavy. It's too, even somebody like this, it's too hard for him to make the walk from Yerushalayim to the Azara. Kol elu pturim min hariyah. All these are not obligated from showing up to the Azara. V'atam, so let's see the reason. Bechiger ubechule ubezaken. Let's talk about the one who's lame, the one who's sick, and the one who's old. לפי שכתוב, because it says shalosh regalim. It says 3 legs. That's what it says. Shalosh regalim. Regalim means holidays, but regalim means also legs. So what did it say? You could call it a holiday. You don't have to say regel. הרי Why do you call it regel? Ke'olim la regel. What does it mean? Olim? You have to walk with your feet. והרי זה בא לרמז, it comes to teach us, שאין חייב בראייה, who's obligated to be seen in the אזהרה, אלא מי שיכול לעלות ברגליו. Only people who are capable to do it on their own, to actually march on their own. So it's easy. So we have the חיגר, חולה and זקן. They're too old. They don't have the capability to walk to Har HaBayit. You don't have the... If you cannot do it on your own, you are not obligated.
In other words, if I will bring him a limo, he can do the mitzvah. He can do the mitzvah, but...
The question if you can carry him. Maybe you can carry him.
Or carry him.
Or be in a alunka. Yeah, maybe it's all... Yeah, but it says that he doesn't have the obligation so far.
So the obligation is to walk, you can drive.
That's right. That's what it says. Riya. To regel. That's why it says beregel.
Walk ברגל.
Yeah. Ubasume. What about a blind person? He's able to walk. He can walk. Hatamu shene'emar, because it says, what is the regel? So he describes the regels. The regel is a time bevokol Israel lirot. It's a lirot ve'leheraot. It's a time where all the Jewish people come to see God. And this guy is not capable of seeing, so he doesn't have the obligation. כשם שהם באים להיראות, just like we said, they come to be seen by God, לפני השם, להתפקד, it's called. Like the general wants to see the army, yeah? כך הם באים לראות, they also come to see the general, the God. הדר קודשו ובית שכינתו, they come to see God in all his glory. להוציא סומה, this comes to take a blind person. A blind person is not obligated because he cannot see God. It's part of the process of Aliyah Regel. Part of the process of Aliyah Regel, of going up to Yerushalayim, is to be able to see God. Since he can't see God, he doesn't have the obligation. ואפילו בעינו אחת. What happens if he's just blind in one eye? Even then he doesn't have the obligation. Why? Because it says lirot. Lirot means full seeing. 3D. Since he cannot see God in 3D, in 3 dimensions, you need 2 eyes to see God in 3 dimensions. Yeah? Even that is not called seeing. His seeing is lacking. That's not what God said seeing. Yeah.
Poor vision also is not going to go there.
No, but at least you can see God, you just don't see him clearly. Over here, you don't see the way God is. Because you don't see in 3D. That's right. You don't see 3D. It's not the same. Yeah? You're missing a perspective. שהרי אין ראייתו שלמה, because his seeing is not complete. ובגמרא למדים זו מתיבת יראה, עיין חגיגה. And the Gemara says it from the תיבת יראה. Okay. איזה הוא קטן? So up to now, we thought that a קטן is somebody below the age of 13 years old. Like every time it says קטן. איזה הוא קטן? Then it continues. איזה הוא קטן? So it's true that he doesn't have the obligation. But there's another problem. What's the problem? With children, there's such a concept of chinuch. So even if he's below the age of 13, right, his father has an obligation to teach him. So the question is, from what age does the father have the obligation to teach his son to do the Azara? When he's 1 month old? He was born yesterday. Should he take him? 2 years old? 3 years old? From what age is the obligation to take him also to Yerushalayim? So let's see. איזה הוא קטן שאביו פטור מלחנכו במצוות ראייה. He for sure doesn't have the obligation, the קטן. Yeah. But the question is, does the father has the obligation from what age to teach him? So that's what is it? So he says, כל שאינו יכול לרכוב על כתפיו של אביו ולעלות מירושלים להר הבית. It says a small one means that he is not able to sit on his father's shoulders.
Big.
What?
You can sit, that means he's big, not small.
No, because he's too young, he's too small. On his own. Like a 2-month-old, you can't put him on your shoulders. Yeah.
That cannot hold by himself.
That's right. So it looks like if the kid is almost 1.5 years, maybe even less. Yeah, he can walk. You can walk with the kid, holding his hand or putting on his shoulder, not a problem. So it already tells you, it's not like other commandments. Because most commandments, you don't have an obligation until the age of 5, 6. It says over here, it's different. Yes, the obligation starts as soon as you can sit on your shoulders. That's the obligation starts. יכול לרכוב על כתפיו של אביו ולעלות מירושלים להר הבית. To go up from Yerushalayim to הר הבית. From the distance it takes from Yerushalayim, I don't know which place in Yerushalayim, but to הר הבית. Let's say it's half a mile, it's 1 mile. It's not such a big distance. Yeah? אבל אם הוא יכול לרכב על כתפי אביו, but if he can ride on his father's shoulders, ולעלות מירושלים להר הבית, to come up from Yerushalayim to the Temple Mount, אף על פי שאינו יכול ללך לשם ברגליו, even though he's not able to walk with his feet, אף בסיוע אביו, even with the help of his friend, in other words, if his father, even hand he cannot do, but he can ride on his shoulders, חייב אביו לחנכו במצווה זו. This is such an important mitzvah, that his father has to bring him. He's male, I have to teach him from when? From the time he can be on my shoulders. This is Divrei Beit Shammai. This is according to the house of Shammai. This is the time. Which means for our, it's below 2 years old probably. Somewhere around from a year to 2 years. Somewhere around there. ובית הלל אומרים, כל שאינו יכול לאחוז בידו של אביו ולעלות מירושלים להר הבית. They disagree. It says רגל. It says רגל means that the kid has to be able to do it on his own. On means I can hold his hand and help him. But if he cannot walk that mile with me helping him, holding his hand, he doesn't have the obligation. In other words, he needs to be, let's say, a toddler. Walking, yeah, he has to be walking. If he cannot walk on his, even with help, it doesn't matter. But he needs to be able to walk a mile while holding somebody's hand. Which can be very young, by the way, it's the same thing. Aviv patur melechанcho, his father is not obligated in his education. שנאמר 3 רגלים, because it says like we said for the other people, 3 legs. כמו שביארנו לעיל, like we explained before, שהואיל ולא כתוב 3 פעמים בשנה, it doesn't say 3 times a year come and show me. בא כתוב לרמז, over here it comes to teach us, שאין חייב בראייה, אלא מי שיכול לעלות ברגליו. It says the only one who's obligated in mitzvah ראייה is somebody who can walk with his legs. וכשם שגדול שאינו יכול לעלות ברגליו, just like a grown up that cannot go up with his leg, פטור מן הראייה, he doesn't have the obligation. אף קטן אין אביו חייב לחנכו בה. Also if he's a young one, he cannot walk yet, there's no obligation to teach him.